Hello, welcome to day 4 of the 10-day Jambark Summit. I'm Akosua Brown, and I'm so happy to see you here today, whether you've joined us live or you're watching the replay. Welcome. Today's theme is science fiction as disruption, and it's one of my favorite days because it reminds us that fiction isn't just escape. It's a powerful way to tell the truth. Before I begin, I want to start with a land acknowledgement. I acknowledge the land I'm joining from today, and they honor the Indigenous people who have cared for this land since time immemorial. And because we're gathering online from so many different places, I'd like you to take a quiet moment to acknowledge the land you're on as well, and communities past and present. Jambark is a 10-day virtual writing summit for writers of all ages. For writers of all backgrounds. Whether this is you're working on your first book, you've just got the spark of an idea, or you're writing on you're writing your 20th, whether it's memoir, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, children's books, first-time storytellers, as I mentioned, seasoned storytellers. It's designed to give you real momentum and a sense of community that you can carry through in 2026 so you can get that book out. And what makes this event especially meaningful is that many of the voices you're hearing throughout Jambark are writers whose books have been supported inside our community. People who were once uncertain, but are now determined and now have real stories out in the world. This summit is a celebration of that. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Jeanette Sherman and Carol Humphreys. Both are community members. Jeanette's series of books celebrates childhood milestones like losing a tooth, brushing your teeth, first day of school, all in vivid color and beautifully rhyming. She has a booth here, and you can order her books there or through the Jambark book booth, which is now active. Our second sponsor, Carol Humphreys, is a representative of a new shopping experience. It's called 10 Times Direct or 10X Direct, and the platform champions Canadian products, and this includes a space for Canadian authors. It's a platform you control, and it'll give you money back when you use it, plus money back when you invite others to do the same. Today, we're focusing on fiction. I'll be sharing a short talk to open the theme, and then we'll hear from our speakers. After each session, Airmeet will encourage us to go to the lounge, which kind of looks like a Zoom meeting, because there, we're off the webinar kind of platform, and we can engage in a more kind of intimate way as we're facing each other, as if kind of like we're at a table. So I hope to see you there. And now, let's begin. Yes. So even though we say science fiction is disruption, it really is about fiction, and the power of words, really. I say I made it science fiction because quite a few of our community members write science fiction in particular. We began, and I want to share a bit about how we designed Jambarks, just so we can kind of position ourselves in the progression of it. So on the weekend, we started with impact, on why your story matters. And yesterday we talked foundations, which was about structure, research, and shaping true stories. And today we're in fiction, imagination with purpose. Tomorrow we'll go into writing and healing, and then we move into platform marketing and design, and finally into the virtual weekend. I've been calling this a writing week, and I want to clarify what I mean by that. This week it's about building the map, the clarity, the decisions, the structure that makes writing easier, because most people don't struggle because they can't write. They struggle because they don't know what they're writing towards. I know one of our speakers today talks about how he'd started a book, and it was a graphic novel. So that involves a mixture of art and words. And without the structure, he found himself that he'd written himself into a corner at page 40 by page 49. And so that's why having the map helps, so that when you go to work on the actual writing, that you've got a way clear so you can actually finish that story. So this is writing, but it's the type of writing that happens before the page fills up. And the virtual retreat is where we'll turn that clarity into pages with writing sprints, blue pencils, which I'll describe what those mean later, and guided implementation of what we're doing through the map. So today, disruption in fiction leads to clarity, because you're considering, what if the world changed overnight? What if normal is actually harmful? Oh, remember 1984, that book? What if that normal, the clock just struck 13? That normal. What if that normal is harmful? What if what if we accept as normal is harmful? What if a future world reveals who we are now? Fiction creates a little bit of a distance that makes the truth easier to see, and in that way makes it safe to examine and to face kind of these type of questions. One reason that science fiction and speculative fiction are so powerful is that they can be a mirror, showing us ourselves, a warning, showing us where our choices could lead to, a dream, imagining a better world that's possible, and a test. What would you do if such and such happens? And so that's where craft kind of world, creates a point, because world building is belief building, because you're creating a world that kind of shows and builds on what the belief system of that world is. Your world shows what people value, what they fear, who they protect, who they punish, and what hope looks like. That's why this kind of fiction can be entertaining, but also deeply meaningful. So let me give you 3 practical moves that you can use immediately if you're writing sci-fi, fantasy, or what's called speculative, or any type of fiction, really. Because speculative is like, as the word suggests, that you're kind of investigating. You're sometimes you're looking at real world and kind of creating a what if within what we see right now. That's the power of it, really, because you're trying to shine, as the slide before said. You're mirroring, warning, showing us a dream, and testing through speculative fiction. So 3 ways to make your fiction more powerful is to shift just one rule, then follow the consequences. So, or and then when you're doing this, you let the characters hold the tension, because that's where the heroes emerge. And because in fiction and in memoir, what you're doing is you're making people really love those characters. So when things change and they have to deal with this, with the consequences, that's when your readers really care, because they want your character to survive, and in a case, and in a way, they are invested in that character's future. So then you also build a world that exposes what you believe is the truth, which shows your values, your fears, where you expect power to lead, as well as hope. So your world becomes your argument, and you do it without preaching, because you're showing the consequences through your work. And when you do this, your story stops being just a cool concept and becomes a book that leaves the reader changed. So, thinking about trying fiction, even if it isn't right now your jam, you can try this experiment by being part of one of our compilations. Here's one of our more recent ones. This one was called Snowflake Secrets and Winter and Other Winter Reflections. And people were invited to create a story, and we published it in here. And we also did, our first one was called 19 Stories of COVID-19, and 19 authors wrote. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic, before it even really had a name, that we started that book. It was like that. It was in December 2019 where we knew something weird was happening. And so 19 people wrote, some poetry, some was, based on their fears, some speculative fiction about what they thought was happening in the pandemic. So we've got another one coming up, designed for people who want to try their hand at fiction without having to write a whole book. And right now, the working title is Feathercoat Court. And it's about neighbors who seem like typical neighbors. Hey, Jim, how's the wife? Good, good. Behind each door, though, everyone has a private life. And the fun part is it's a connected world. So in the first draft, you're going to write your story and leave little openings where you can connect with the neighbors that you don't know yet because you don't know the other stories. And then in the second version, you'll have the other writers' stories. So you can do things about connecting those neighbors to you. Maybe Jim is the one who lives in house 19 or something. And then you can subtly weave in those connections a moment, a detail, a passing interaction, real community. And so if you've been curious about trying fiction, compilations are a powerful, low pressure way in. So now I'm going to introduce you to our speakers for today. First, we're going to have Dr. Dave Davis, and he writes about his fiction writing as a second career. His first career was as a medical doctor, and I really love this topic because it reminds us that it's never too late to begin and that your life experiences become part of your material. After Dr. Dave, he will stay on stage and we'll meet two other science fiction writers, and we'll have a panel discussion and explore world building, imagination, and how this type of fiction can disrupt the world in the best way by making people see things differently. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transition to bring Dave on the stage. So as this software does, it's going to, for a moment, the webinar will close and you'll see an invitation to go to the lounge. Take that invitation. And what you'll find is that you'll be invited to sit at chairs as if on a table and discuss maybe something of here. What kind of work are you writing on? Are you writing fiction or nonfiction? I'll see you in the tables for a minute, and then you will hear from Dave within 5. Thank you.